In the 2008 primary between Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, they went at it like two howler monkeys. They, claws and teeth, both of them wanted the presidency. In that race, Obama was running as the lefty. His rhetoric of hope and change and this kind of elevation of politics in the way that this aspirational politics in the way that Obama ran that race. Now, it was a campaign, basically, and that campaign wasn't necessarily going to really enact hope and change when she got into office, but he acknowledged and understood that the public wanted something fundamentally different from the Bush years, and he ran a campaign tuned specifically to that particular channel. In that race, 15 to 25% of the people who were backing Hillary Clinton in that race voted for John McCain. Let me repeat that. 15 to 25% of the people in that race who was voting for Hillary Clinton in the primary turned around, did not back the Democrat, and voted for John McCain. The chart still looked like this at the end. 365 to McCain's 173. That's a landslide. It's not even close. Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Florida, all within the Democratic camp. Now, even Ohio, that's a landslide. Obama went in with the House, the Senate, and the presidency. In the race between Sanders and Clinton in that primary, after that race was over with and Clinton ran against Donald Trump, you had 12% of the people who were backing Sanders go to one Donald Trump. Now, just from basic math, 12% is less than the 15% that voted that went from Clinton to McCain. Nevertheless, you still end up with this trope of press agents that are chomping at the bit to ask Bernie Sanders how is he going to get Joe Biden elected, and bringing up this stat, as always, as if it's somehow Sanders' responsibility to A, do that, but also as if more Sanders backers ended up going to the other side. That's not true. Sanders, despite losing the primary, is still finding himself every so often in front of a camera, talking to some kind of reporter or talking to some anchor that wants to interview him. In this case, he's talking to Christine Amanpour. I want you to hear what she asked him. He's going to answer her correctly, in the specific sense of the word. But his answer should have went far, far, far beyond what he said in this. And I would even make the point that he should have been a bit more dickish in his answer. Welcome to Early Morning Soapbox. My name is Jamarl Thomas. This is the Progressive Soapbox. Guys, if you dig this content, please like, share, and subscribe. You can always support this content through PayPal or Patreon. This content is brought to you by you, and I appreciate you the opportunity for allowing me to do so. As you guys know, my channel was shut down for a week. I am back. Hopefully, I will be staying back. If I am dragging ass a bit, it's because I've just had surgery yesterday. All right, so this is what the election looked like between Clinton and Trump. That's with less people backing Trump coming from the Sanders side than what was backing Clinton and going over to the McCain side. And this is also a landslide. She got whooped. And just like Obama, when he got in office, Trump ends up with the House, the Senate, but in one case, the Supreme Court also. With the extra special bonus that because Obama didn't push hard to get Merrick Garland on the bench, that Trump was able to basically appoint a Supreme Court pick as soon as he got in office. Now, I'm going to show you a conversation between Sanders and Christine Amanpour. Sanders, again, answers technically correct, but the answer is slightly tone deaf, and it doesn't necessarily get to the gravity of this particular moment and how way off base this question really is. Let's hear.
Do you believe that your supporters will vote for him? Because remember what happened in 2016 when about a quarter did not vote for Hillary Clinton.
No, that's not true, Christiane. That is not true. It was not a quarter of our voters who did not vote for Hillary Clinton. That is a false number. But more importantly...
Okay, so if my figure was wrong, there was nonetheless a significant Bernie or bust, number. But my question to you is this, that there are still, according to the polls, despite the lead that Biden holds right now, there are still young people who are less than excited and progressives in the minority communities. What can you do, and are you confident now that they will do what you're saying, come to vote because of the gravity of this moment?
Well, let me go back a moment on your numbers. My understanding is more people who voted for Hillary Clinton in 2008 voted for John McCain than people who voted for me in 2016 who voted for Trump. But to answer your question, I think what the Biden campaign does understand is that we did really, really well among young people, white and black and Latino, Native American, Asian American. We did pretty badly among older people. And what I think the Biden campaign understands, they're going to have to reach out and bring those people into the fold. And I think they are making some success.
Does Biden understand that? I mean, Biden has been telling people to go vote for somebody else. Joe Biden is the greatest distillation of you have nowhere else to go that has ever been created in our political system. Basically, you have Trump, who's failing miserably at twin crises or multiple crises, and you have Joe Biden, who basically could just be in his basement. He doesn't have to make an aspirational case. My point in this is that Sanders is too polite in answering this, and this needs to be pushed back on pretty heavily. And I think he missed an opportunity here, and if I'm being honest, going after her on this. He should have basically started off, frankly, I think your framing of this question is backwards. I think the framing is backwards, born out of a class issue. Meaning your priorities of people like you and some of the other hosts on CNN or some of these other media networks and many of these politicians are not the same priorities as the American public. So you're going to ask me this particular question with false information loaded into the disingenuous question. Fine. Look, do you understand and grasp our situation right now? Do you get it? Do you get it in a gut level way? 30 million people or more are out of a job. Because jobs are associated with healthcare, those people, many of which, tens of millions, are out of healthcare. And that's on top of the 20 million that already didn't have healthcare. Many of the other people, on top of the 30 million people, 30% of our population had difficulty feeding themselves. Richest country on the planet had difficulty feeding themselves. Another 30% had difficulty paying their rent. You're asking me a question about whether or not I'm going to get Joe Biden elected. And I think you fundamentally misunderstand the gravity of this particular moment and how backwards your question is. We are in the midst of a crisis. 150,000 people dead, not to mention the number of people who are ill, millions. And those millions of people with COVID-19 have additional consequences associated with the disease, meaning whatever weakness they have, that presents in regards to making that particular issue worse. And you're asking me about whether or not I'm going to do some kind of magic to get Joe Biden elected. No, that question is backwards. The reality of it is the candidate's responsibility, Joe Biden's, to get elected. Period. As a flat fact, it is Joe Biden's responsibility. You have 88% of the public of Democrats backing Medicare for all. You have a majority backing legalization of marijuana. You have a majority backing the expansion of Social Security. You have a majority of getting rid of student debt and making state and tuition colleges free. You have a majority that is for a wealth tax and increasing the minimum wage. Joe Biden, his responsibility is to get elected. And the reason that the people were pushing for me when I was running in that race wasn't magic. It wasn't because they thought I had great hair. It was because I was pushing policies that was going to materially benefit them as they go about their way. The catch here is that the majority of the people that don't vote are either people of color or people making less than $30,000 a year. Those would typically be Democratic constituencies, but what those people realize is that the political space and the energy that they put into political space is not remunerated in political gains, in material gains. And because it's not come back in material gains, those people figure there's no point in being involved in the political process. If my name is Joe Biden, what I would be doing is trying to make an affirmative case based on the Medicare for all that has almost unanimous support, the elimination of student debt, the increase of a wealth tax. I would be making the affirmative case on those particular items because it's not for me to get Biden elected. It's for Biden to get Biden elected. And if Biden wants the younger demographic and he wants those people that were backing me, those people were backing me as an avatar of those policies. If he wants them, the policies are not owned by me. Meaning, if 88% of people are backing Medicare for all, then your question is backwards. Your question should be aimed at Joe Biden, asking him, how do you justify not backing a policy like Medicare for all that has 88% Democratic support, 70% of the rest of the public support, if it would organically unify the party in order to beat Trump? That's your question. This question is not Sanders. It is not Sanders' responsibility to get Joe Biden elected. It is Joe Biden's responsibility. And if Joe Biden, in the midst of a crisis, if he can't recognize that the arc of history is screaming at this moment to be bit, that is on him. Your question is backwards. Like, share, subscribe. Thanks all.